And
So
I guess one thing that'll help you if we talk a little bit about it now, I guess, since you said it would be helpful. Don't care, and it's a very weird. So this is all psychology discussion, right? But it's a very weird thing to talk about, but it works though. So for you and for anyone, I'd say, especially when you start trading with more contracts, it's not about the money you get, right? At the end
okay.
of the day, it's more about, to me, a win is if you followed the process. Whether
Mm-hmm.
that means you sold it at your take profit or sold it at your stop loss. To me, even this trade that you did here that we looked at a little bit, this is technically still a win. Like realistically, you should be just as happy about, like, once you start, like, the way to leave your job to be able to do this for a living is that once this loss becomes the loss at the stop loss, that you should be jumping high just as much as you would be if you made a win and sold at the bottom.
Okay, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Because it's a win as you follow the criteria, not you got X profit. Because let's say you didn't have a strategy that was said buy here, sell here. Then I mean, what, a lot of people would have got a put here, and then it was sold at the end of the day, and you saw how high up it went up at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Realistically, right? So it's hey, okay, I made money maybe if I sold at the bottom, but I also saved money, because you have to be just as happy about saving money. Budgeting is just as important as it is making
Mhm.
at the end of the day. And selling at the stop loss is you following your budget. You didn't go buy the extra you didn't go buy an, I don't know, whatever thing you like, extra golf clubs or whatever. It's the first thing in front of me. So I mentioned that. Or something for the wife or whatever. So you said no, I admit that we can't afford it right now. I'm selling. I'm
Mhm.
okay with that because I know in the future I want to make more money, so I need to sell there. That's the conceptual or psychology piece of it, if that makes any sense at all.
Okay, yeah, that definitely does. But can you just repeat the last part again? You said that.
Selling at your stop loss is just as important as selling at your take profit, basically.
Yeah, it definitely just recapping. Yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. Just following that strategy where I did exit out. You know, even though yes, I didn't profit, I was able to exit out where I was supposed to. So I suppose I can see that as a win, or
Yeah,
as a following the strategy. So that was really interesting because I didn't think about it like that. I just maybe
yeah,
thought about, hey man, I lost money, so I lost.
yeah. Not exactly. I mean, what if you sold at 10.45? That's 2x the loss. Like Jesus,
Right, yeah,
you know?
that would be horrible.
Yeah, exactly. But
um,
there's been people that do that. Even
hmm,
with my strategy, I've had like people hold on. They're like, you know what? It'll come back because they have the RSI that says, hey, it's overbought, so it's
right.
gonna come down. Nope, don't give a damn. It's going up.
No, yeah, it's yeah, I definitely agree that other indicators can be just
Yeah.
convolute things.
All you need is price, man. That's all.
Okay. I just had
And
a couple more.
the zones are an indicator of price, by the way. So just
Uh,
clarification. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, what was that again?
And I said all you need is price, but I'm like the zones are also price as well. By the way, it's just an agreement of the buyers and sellers. So it's that from a price perspective. That's all it is. It's the only reason they bounce technically.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you explained it really well in your course.
Yep.
Um, just another question I had for you. I gotta figure out what it was. When you first started trading and you got up to 100 contracts, was your account size good in like? Did you feel like you had to have a certain account size? Like, hey, I need to make sure that I have 25,000 or 30,000 before I start trading 100 contracts to kind of give you buffer if you win or lose.
No, not at all. Um, the reason why, and by the way, is for full transparency. For me to even get the large amount of money for me to even start, I literally liquidated my entire 401k. By the way, just to make sure the shit would work. By the way.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that being, and it wasn't even that much. I think it was like, what was that, 22,000 for the most part, because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't put in that much. But so liquidated that, had that to trade with, but I didn't even first go. I didn't use all of that. I had lost a lot of trades. But to answer your question anyway, um, no, because by the time I still had thankfully a lot of money, I scaled up. But I basically said, okay, no matter what, realistically, I'm entering this trade and I'm selling at my stop loss, which typically, let's just say, is like a 7% loss. Let's just say as an example. But then as long as my take profit's pretty far away, give or take, that's going to be maybe a 15, 20% win. So the risk management is basically built into the trading in itself. As long as that's why, to go back to the other thing I said, a win is a win if you sell at the take profit or the stop loss, because I followed it. So no matter what, like if the loss is 7%, but the gain is maybe hypothetically 15%, it takes 2 losses to equal one to destroy one win. So it's kind of hard to basically fuck it all up unless you just take a whole bunch of bad trades back to back to back. So it doesn't matter the account size. And besides, on top of that, for a part 2, let's say you're quote unquote betting 10K for 100 contracts.
Right.
On one trade, you can't lose all 10K unless you just hold it for 4 hours.
Right.
Because of like Greek delta or whatever for that anyway, decay
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. So it's I mean, unless you just don't know what you're doing at all, it's very hard to lose all their money. You can't lose all of it, really, to be honest with you.
Okay. So, all right. Yeah, I asked that because, eventually, yeah, I think I want to, invest 100. Once I get to the 100 contracts, I don't know if just because I have 100, I have 10,000 available that I want to put it all, I want to put it all on the line. I just was kind of curious, like, okay, well, I have a $10,000 capital. Do I just only trade 20 contracts? That's only 20%, knowing that, hey, if I only trade 20% of it, I can only lose at most 2,000. But I guess, how you're saying it, it's like, hey, you know what, follow the strategy. That's, the risk management is catered
Built into it.
Yeah, built into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I will take a look into that. Yeah, because I was thinking that, okay, eventually when I get good or better, that if I have a 10,000, I don't want to just put, all of it into it. It would just, I don't know.
The hell out of you.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Well, put it this way, right? Before you would get to 100 contracts, you'd have to be trading 90, and then also 80, and then 70, and 60, and then 50, and then 40, and like so on and so forth. And then like if you are upgrading contracts on a weekly basis, hypothetically, it may take 10 to 15 weeks to get to 100.
Mm-hmm.
But also, with that being said, not everyone does 100. Some people stop at a lot of people usually. The high point that a lot of my students like to stop at is 50, because it's more than enough realistically. Because so for full context, if you do 100 contracts, it works very well. I like doing it, but one of the reasons I like doing it is because one candle is basically maybe moving 2 cents, right? 2 cents of a move is $200.
All right.
So like with your candles there, with it moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles, that's $1,000 basically, or give or take, I guess, depending on what it is. So it's like, cool, done. So, but if you did half of the contracts, 50, then that might be $500.
Right.
And more people, usually people are like, well, I'm good with 500. What the hell? Screw that. So they don't even need to move. They don't even move up. So 50 is the max for a lot of students, not all, but for that. But on average, most students stick at 30 contracts.
Okay.
So that might be a $300 win.
Okay. All right.
So
yeah, that
you don't have to go that high. But it's up to you.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely helps.